This will be the longest video that you have, but I'm going to walk you through what's about to happen next. We're about to do the planning. So the philosophy here, there's a philosophy and a process that all successful people understand and utilize. And the key to high achievement is for you to recognize that knowledge and intellect, as well as strategy and ideas, only matter if you actually implement what you have there, what you know. And it's all in the execution, which is why we're going to do this resource. I'm providing you a Notion resource that you can actually do the implementation. Because I want you to remember, your great ideas are worthless unless they are actually implemented. And it's not enough to know what you need to do, because knowing and doing are two very different things. And so essentially the 12-week year is going to teach you how to execute and provide you with structure and tools to achieve your goals. So the process is going to begin by you establishing one or more goals and then identifying a few key actions that are necessary to accomplish that goal, or each one of your goals. And then your goals and your plans are going to be entered into this Notion template that I'm providing you. And then you're going to create a weekly plan for you so that each week you have organized tactics, or actions in this case, that need to happen every single week. And then the system is also going to act, or this process, having this Notion template is going to have create a sort of dashboard that's going to allow you to track your process as you start to check off all the action that you've completed every single week. And so every day, I want you to make sure you're revisiting what needs to be done that week, and so you can plan which days you're going to get certain things done. I'm going to dive into the sections of this resource, and then I'm going to point these things out to you. So first, we're going to start off with the vision. So I want you to understand why you're doing each section. So the first step in planning isn't to just set these goals. I know you want to set the goals, but no, we're going to envision the future that you want. So the thing that I've learned from this whole 12-week year book is that big thinking always precedes the big achievements that you want to have. So essentially, our vision of the future will profoundly shape our destinies. And so right now, it's just essential that you think about, dream about, and ultimately envision your future. And this is what we're going to start off in the exercise. In the Notion template, you're starting off by envisioning your future, because a compelling vision will provide you with meaning and direction. And people with a vision can actually overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. I know that there are a lot of things that seem like it's impossible. From the philosophy of Revolutionary Brand, if you don't have a 6-figure business and you barely have a 4-figure a month business, it's going to be really hard to envision yourself having multi-5-figure months, right? It's something that I never thought that I'd see for myself, making 30 grand in a month. I mean, that's effing crazy, right? I still say that that's crazy. It's very, very difficult to picture yourself having that when you're struggling to make $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a month, right? So holding a clear picture in your mind of the desired future will mobilize your creative efforts, and it will help you to generate the desire and the energy that you're going to need to perform. But why I don't want you to just look at short-term things of like, I want to have a 5-figure month, but really what big future you have, the reason that they want you to start off with that is because you need to, any significant accomplishment that you're going to have or going to be able to achieve always begins with something that you're daring to think is possible. And so I want to have you, again, in this exercise, in your resources, you're going to start building your vision. So the first step of what we're going to do is you're going to do vision work. And what we're going to start off by thinking about is your long-term vision. When you're formulating your vision, I need you to let your mind expand to imagine and even embrace possibilities that you typically would push away or push aside in your daily life because you don't think it's immediate enough to command your attention. You might think it's impractical, or maybe you might think it's maybe too audacious for you to even consider right now, which definitely means that you're not going to try to pursue it. So I want you to know with the vision work, there's no right or wrong answer. So we're going to create the longest term vision, starting with, which is called the aspirational vision. So in this exercise, you're going to start with creating the long-term aspirational vision, which means you're constructing a vision of your life 5, 10, or 15 years down the line into the future. And I need you to be bold here, be courageous. I want you to create a life vision that inspires you and fulfills you with purpose. Again, no right or wrong answers, but this is the life that you deeply desire. So that's the first section of the template, which I'm going to show you in the, in a video separate from this. The second exercise you're going to do is your 3-year vision. So this is when you bring your vision more to near term, and then you're going to craft a 3-year vision. Now the 3-year vision is going to represent a stake in the ground for you. It's because it's time bound, because it's 3 years, and it's more specific than your longer term vision. So it's going to represent progress towards your long vision, and it also should define what greatness actually looks like for you 3 years from today. So it's going to probably include elements of like your long-term vision, but it will most likely be a mix of like personal and like business or career stuff. So I want you to think about and determine what you want your life to be like in 3 years, and consider those from the areas of like your spouse, your family, your health, spiritual, social, financial, intellectual, emotional, or lifestyle, and also income-wise, customer profile, your marketing, your value offer, maybe if you have a team, strategic partners, time off that you want. So that's going to be your 3-year vision. So then we're going to move on. Something that I learned from the book is that you should share your vision with others, by the way. Every time I have some new goal or some big thing, I always share it like on social. I tell someone that I think won't try to cut me down, someone that's going to be optimistic or at least positive about what I'm saying. So when you figure out this vision, I want you to take these 3 actions. I want you to share it with someone else, share it with others. Because when you share your vision, you start to become committed to it, because you know that you have kind of a responsibility to take action. And then the second action I want you to do is to stay in touch with your vision. Print it out, so that you can review it. Look at it every single morning. This kind of visualization is actually really helpful for your brain. It's actually why on mine, on the template, you'll see that I have my little vision board. You should replace it with yours. And then make sure you're intentional. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect on progress that you've made. Did it move you forward? Was it filled with necessary activities that were related to your vision? So those are things that I want you to think about. The next stage of the Notion template is your planning stage. And so this is where you're going to build out a plan, because in order for you to set up your 12-week year, you need to establish very specific goals and then build a 12-week plan for you to achieve those goals. And the purpose of the plan is for you to define what it will take for you to get there. Whatever there is for you, it's the plan that is going to help you get there. So put it this way, if your vision is essentially the what, then your 12-week plan is the how, which is what you need, right? And so remember, the planning is supposed to be fun, or at least it's supposed to give you hope, right? It's just the process of you thinking through and then setting out exactly what it will take for you to reach your goals. And you're supposed to be creating positive emotions and energy around it, because now everything's going to be very, very crystal clear. And it also makes your vision actually seem more attainable, because now you know, okay, this is exactly what I need to do. It's going to shift you and your attitude from possible to probable. And so I'm going to go through an example 12-week plan when we get there. So there's a few criteria for your plan, and there's 5 of them. So when writing your plan, you need to make sure that first it's specific and measurable. So it needs to be something that can be quantified or qualified. So the more specific, the better. So for example, you want to lose 15 pounds. 15 pounds is very, very specific and very measurable. It needs to be stated positively. So focus on what you want to happen that is positive. So as an example, I'll achieve a 2% error rate. You want to, instead of saying something negative like that, like a 2% error rate, which sounds negative, you will say, I will achieve a 90% accuracy rate, because now that's stating something that's positive versus the negative. And then the third thing is it needs to have a realistic stretch. So you need to have a realistic stretch. So if you can easily accomplish the strategy without doing anything different, then you probably need to stretch yourself a little bit more. And also the opposite of that is if it's absolutely impossible, then I want you to kind of dial it back a little. This stuff needs to be something that you can definitely achieve, but you're probably going to have to work a little bit for. So again, if you're only making, say, $1,000 a month, then you shouldn't jump to, I want to make $20,000 a month in the next 30 days. It doesn't make any sense, but you might want to work towards your first 5-figure month. Next, accountability. This is the fourth thing. Again, individual accountability. You need to make sure that you are the person that's personally being held responsible for whatever gets done. Do not blame your kids or your husband interrupting you or the fact that your phone keeps ringing. That's why you didn't do stuff. You need to hold yourself personally accountable for the action that you did or did not take. And then lastly, make sure that it's time bound. There is nothing like a deadline to keep things moving. So we're going to set up those goals, we're going to set up the actions, and we're going to give ourselves deadlines for when it's due by the weeks. And then we're going to move on to making sure that you establish a weekly routine. So I'm going to make sure that you have a weekly routine because essentially now that you create this great vision, you created a plan, now this is where the work is actually going to begin. So I need you to make sure that in order for you to effectively implement this new plan that we have in mind, you need to make sure that you have a weekly routine to make sure that you are actually able to implement your plan. And so I'm going to make sure that you not only think about your schedule, but also that you kind of think about support. So during the live session, if you were able to attend, I talked about weekly accountability meetings and having peer support because you are 7 times more likely to be successful in this new plan and these goals if you participated in some form with some form of peer support. There was this study conducted from this book, obviously, and they talked about patients that had severe medical conditions that required things like lifestyle changes in order for them to live. And typically you think if something's between life or death that people are going to do absolutely everything that's necessary to live, right? But what they found is that when patients attended the group support sessions, that their success rate was nearly 7 times higher than the groups that were not involved in like the group support or the peer support. They only had a 10% success rate. They were more willing to die than to make these lifestyle changes because they didn't have any support. The people who participated in support during this study had a 77% success rate. So essentially, when you are trying to change something, you don't want to do it alone. And so doing things like a weekly accountability meeting is critical. It's a critical element in your execution process. And how this looks is it's just a short 15 to 20 minute maximum meeting with no more than 3 peers. And they're going to typically be held on a Monday so that you can do this at the start of your week when you're reviewing your weekly stuff that you have to get done anyway. You want to do it on like a Monday morning if you can with a small group. Like I said, no more than 3. And you're meant to support, challenge, and encourage one another. And essentially, your agenda is very simple. Each individual will talk about the results that they had. So the actual that they had, and then what the goal was, how they did on their weekly execution, what's working, where they're struggling, and then solicit the group for feedback. And the group feedback is nothing more than, why did that happen and what are you going to do differently next time? And that's it. You're not trying to discourage them. You're not trying to coach them. You're just having them to take ownership of why did something happen and then what are they going to change the next time around so that it never happens again. You are not personally responsible for holding each other accountable. You're just making sure that the person understands on their own what is the reason that something didn't work out and what they would like to change the next time so that they don't have that problem again. And then you're going to lastly score what you've done. Measurement is the only thing that's going to drive your progress. And again, it's that anchor of reality for you. So in order for you to create the best results, you're going to need to track your 12-week year results every single day, every single week, and at the end of every single month. And so you need to both be tracking your lead indicators and your lag indicators. So the first thing that everyone likes to track are the lag indicators, or the big time results. It's that proof of greatness. I got the gold medal. I had a $10,000 month. I lost 15 pounds. That's a lag indicator that doesn't typically happen until toward the end, but you need to be tracking the lead indicators. The lead indicators are like, my following count grew by 20%. People are starting to engage with me. My new followers are all in my ideal client category. I booked 2, next step calls. These are all lead indicators that tell you that whatever you've done is starting to work. I lost 3 inches. Maybe you didn't lose 3 pounds, but you lost 3 inches. That's a big amount. So all of these things are lead indicators that show up almost immediately, that tell you that you're headed in the right direction. And I will make sure that when it comes to launching specifically, that I give you some examples of the type of lead indicators that you need to be tracking. So again, those are just the 3 steps that I need to make sure that you're going through so that you are actually implementing this 12-week plan. So in the next video, I'm going to walk you through the resource.